Good day, everyone. Welcome to the Hybrid Live Show. It's Monday. It's 5:36. Cheryl Snow is here in Vegas. She just got off the golf course. Dave Claxton is here. He's in the car, but we love him so much we want to have him on anyway. Say hello, Dave. The people can't see him, but they can hear you.
I know. I feel good because that way I don't have to look good.
Well, I saw you. You look good. Did I hear? Are you driving to Vegas? What were you talking about there?
Oh, Dave's going to move down to Snowbird in Vegas with me.
Is that true, Dave?
Right now. I'm at the point where I'm trying to narrow down options as for places to snowbird. So it's not like it's something that's going to happen tomorrow. But yeah, we're starting to look at places for the, maybe a couple of years down the road.
Of course, now he's breaking up completely. God damn it. Are you driving through a bad zone, Dave?
Sounds like he is.
Well, I would never in a million years think it would be worth living in Vegas until I spent the better part of a weekend with Cheryl, and she told me all the benefits and how much she loves it. And her best friend, what do you call it? The dome? What do you call it? The sphere? Your buddy, the sphere.
Yeah.
So now I think it's okay to live there. Dave, yeah. What's up, buddy? Dave.
Oh, sorry. I thought you talked. I can't see you, so I thought you were talking to River or something. Yeah. So, yeah, Nevada's one of the one we're entertaining, so we're looking at that.
So Nevada, Florida, all the typical ones. Arizona.
That's Arizona. Yeah, all the typical ones. Yeah, the ones with good weather.
Right.
Because I'm sick of the snow.
Texas.
Well,
Texas is
Texas. You don't want to move to Texas, Dave.
Dude, I like to entertain all possible options.
Well, I put in a vote for Atlanta. We have amazing weather. I'm outside now, right now. Look at this gorgeous weather we're having.
Podcasting al fresco.
I'm podcasting al fresco. This
is the time of the year I'd start to be coming up here. I need good weather in January and early February.
We also the cost of living is still nice here. It's gone up, but it's nowhere near most American metropolitan cities.
Yeah.
So I think we have a fair amount to catch up on. I know Dave has many thoughts. What was it you had the most thoughts about, Dave?
Well, I listened to your episode about the Ruck Race series.
Yes, let's start.
I had
there.
that on my mind.
Okay.
All right. So I thought, like, the first thing that entered my head was this is a very cool idea, and I like it, and I'm excited. I've been doing some rucking stuff, although I don't really consider myself a rucker guy because I don't do the long distance. I just do the same workouts I normally do with the back. So anyway, right. But it sounded really cool, and
he just cut off. Cheryl, did you listen to the Ruck Race episode? It's fine if you didn't.
I got through like just the first part of it. So
and then you were like, this is fucking boring, and you were out.
No, it's just I was just very busy this weekend. And so wasn't able to get through all of it. I was very intrigued by just you guys were starting with just the whole idea of just kind of the mind, spirit, body kind of idea.
Yes.
It's not just throwing some heavy thing on you and going, which I've never kind of gotten.
Me either. And that's kind of what we got into, that I've never been in love with the rucking community for that reason. And I know many of them find the same camaraderie, welcoming, non-judgment, all the stuff we all find in our various communities, but I've never found it there. And the whole premise of the basic Go Ruck is march around, get yelled at, do some quote unquote team building, but like I've done all that shit. So it's not really for me.
Right.
And he was like, yeah, I hate that shit too. And I was like, okay, we're going to be friends then.
Right.
And basically it's a series of tasks. We don't know what, so certain amount of distance, certain amount of weight, and we'll see what they do. So Dave has more thoughts on that, but I guess we'll wait till he gets in a good zone because he's gone for a while.
Can we hear you, Dave? Is there anything you can say?
No, he's not. He's completely gone from the feed.
Okay. So, can you fill me in then when you say tasks?
Like I think it's like there's no exercises. It's just going to be distance. Like it'll be like this many miles, this many pounds, or there might be an elevation one or something. But yeah, it's not. There's not. Task was the wrong word.
So the weight changes.
The weight and the distances will change.
Okay, yeah, I could get behind that.
No, and I tagged a bunch of people that would do that, which is basically all the crazy people like Dave and Bubbles and Amber and all those people that will just do kind of any challenge that comes their way, that anything there's a leaderboard for. But we can put a pin in that, as they say, Cheryl, and we can move on to the next thing, which is I can talk about my Deadly Dozen experience that I just did this weekend. I did a doubles. I did it with my buddy Johnny Matas, and I did improve on the doubles I did in England. And I think, Cheryl, it's because I've been less scared. I think, ever since I had all that stuff happen, I was very hesitant, and I've become a lot less scared. So I've been able to, I told him, I said, just push me more on the runs, because I'll want to go really slow. I want to walk the same way I did with you. And I said, keep me going. So he kept me going. And Deadly Dozen, I forgot how fucking top heavy it is. It's very upper body heavy. So I was afraid I wasn't going to be able to do much because I had that issue trying to do dumbbell snatches the other day. But it ended up being fine. He still did a bunch of the work, but I really like it. And I started talking to a bunch of gym people about it today. And I do think once it catches on here, we will see them at all the gyms that you see the Deca Strongs and Miles at. You'll start to see Deadly Dozen gym events.
I was going to ask you, is this the first full Deca Dozen in the United States, or has there been another one?
Well, it's Deadly Dozen. Deca Dozen would be
Deadly
10.
Dozen.
10, 12.
Yeah.
This is it. This is the first.
Right.
So I think Lauren and Mark have been doing what they call DFTs, which is kind of like
it's like a Deadly Dozen Strong kind of thing, right? They do like
it's actually more. Yeah, it's like more. It's more like a PFT, which we actually had a very long. The interview will be up Thursday, and he was talking about the sort of the ladder of participation, and he started it with what would be the DFT, but again, it's not like a PFT. It's just a workout, and there's no real leaderboard that anybody cares about, right? Mm-hmm. The Deadly Dozen is it does have a leaderboard, but it's still not really the same thing. The Strong is more. The Deadly Strong is an event, right? That's the one that's like
is the 6 that are not cardiovascular.
The 6 labors that are not the 6 right. Right. The 6 labor.
They're the weight, because it's kind of divided between like machine type work and then strength.
Well,
work.
There's no machines. That's the whole pitch, is that it's all plates, weights. Okay. It's all plates, weights, and dumbbells. That's the whole thing. So hang on, I'm getting a bunch of I just missed a bunch of messages here. Zach is saying Daily Desert. Yeah, I actually just hooked up. I messaged Amber this morning. I'm like, let's get on it. Let's make it happen here in the US. Anyway, they have a bunch of different ones. There might be too many, because there's like erg versions and there's different erg versions.
That's
and
what I was
there's going to be a bunch of different leaderboards. But I think they can put on more track events in the US than Deca Fit has, because affiliates essentially will be affiliates, and what they call regional managers will put them on, right? So like Mark and Lauren sign up all these gyms, but then they can also put on the track event, the big one, right? And so if you've got Mark and Lauren in the Midwest and Brandon in Texas, and let's say a gym takes it over in the West Coast and somebody takes it over in New England, if they're all putting on 2 or 3 track events, you see what I'm saying? Like, it could be bigger than the Deca Fits and give people a lot of reasons to do stuff. So I can see that happening. I think they didn't have a ton of turnout at this first race. It went great, by the way. A little short on judges. It's always the thing, right? But run super well. Brandon and I forget his wife's name. It's not Bonnie. Their last name is Bonine. It's Brittany. Brandon and Brittany did a great job, and like, you wouldn't know it was their first track event. I mean, ran really smoothly. you know, they've done gym events before, and it was maybe 100 participants, but I think they got to remember it's still, I think, again, as you've heard me say over and over, Cheryl, it's only in the last 6 months that I see gyms in my feed that are like, do a High Rocks with us, sign up with us for training, do a PFT. And like, High Rocks has been around for a few years, but I'm just now seeing it at my gyms because High Rocks is actually coming here. So it'll be a slow burn. It's not going to be overnight, but I do think they have a chance of being kind of that third thing, right? Like,
right.
High Rocks Deadly doesn't. Yeah, the third one.
So I've got a few questions. So I'm looking at the labors, right?
Okay.
Farmer carry deadlift. That's just a kettlebell deadlift. It's not, lunge, snatch, BBJs. It's all really equipment light. Like you really don't need a truck to pull up to a convention center to put this on, which is brilliant.
You probably need a trailer, right? I forget the weight, the actual amount of kilos, but that's what they had. They had a trailer, and that's also kind of the beauty of the setup is, it's you have 5 people, you can knock it out. You can knock the setup up in like an hour. You know what I mean?
Right. It's just dumbbells and plates.
Right. But so you got to carry them, right? Depending how close you can get to the track. And then you draw one big line, and then you draw 12 boxes, 30 meters down and back. And then you bring your timing in the next morning, and away you go.
Yeah.
I think Dave's finally back. I think Dave's finally back. Hang on. I just heard a beep. Did you hear any of that, Dave?
I'm not hearing.
We're doomed, Matt.
I don't know if this is going to work.
Okay, that sounded pretty good. Let's see if he hangs on for a second. I have
another question.
Okay, he can't hear.
Are you in Manitoba, Dave? Where are you?
Well, he can't hear us, so how are you saying you're going to answer that question? All right, how about now? Nothing.
I mean, listen, just so you know, guys, I'm the one who pushed for this. He's like, hey, I got not a new job, but I guess what he's doing is different hours. And he's like, I'm going to be in the car forever. I said, can we please try it? Because I know you have a lot of thoughts. Yeah. So anyway, maybe he'll rejoin us. Maybe he won't. But yeah, I think that's kind of the beauty of it is the easy setup. So no machines, right? You don't have to buy a RAM or a sled, like all the things that you kind of like if you have a smaller gym, maybe you borrow some equipment, but it's plates, weights, and dumbbells. And I love that it's one lap, right? So no thinking, you just run around and then you come back in. We're going to try one more time with Dave.
Yeah, that's right.
Come in, nice. Dave Claxton.
I can hear you now.
Okay. Let's go. Okay,
I don't know how well the signal will hold, but I can hear you.
All right.
Okay. Did you catch anything of us? We started talking about Deadly Dozen, or we can go back to the ruck race if you'd like. Actually, now his phone is ringing. How is your phone ringing, Dave? We're on the phone with you.
I don't know, but I got it anyway. So yeah, I caught the Deadly Dozen thing, and you went out and did it. But not a lot of what happened.
Okay. Do you want to? Let's finish our ruck race thoughts. Actually, since you had thoughts.
I want to hear what you think about the ruck race.
Okay. All right. So I'll try for this, and I'll hopefully.
Oh, shit.
I think we're gonna say au revoir to Dave. I'm really sorry.
You know, I think we were in the denial, then the bargaining. We need to get to the acceptance phase.
Let's just accept it. Okay, I'm gonna text him and say
no, because he's so like, yeah, I don't know the stuff he knows. So yeah. So Jabari
and Grayson's not making it either. So it's just me and you. So now I can focus.
We are stuck. Okay, and I'm seeing Jabari's got a lot of good stuff later on. We can bring up the stuff he's bringing up, but okay, Deadly Dozen wise, I have a couple questions.
Yes.
So when you do doubles,
yes,
is it like Deca where one runs and the other, like, or do you both run together?
High rocks.
So it's
run
like
together, split it however you want it, right?
Okay.
But you stay together. So on the labors that you run, right, you got to stay together.
Right.
He doesn't have a hard and fast rule about it. Like there's no like, I mean, maybe there is, but like we didn't keep it. Like Johnny and I, at one point, I fucking took off with the fucking, you know, with the weight over my head, and he went back to
like
grab
bear
our water
crawl,
bottle.
like one of you is bear crawling and the other one is not?
Is walking behind them, yeah.
Okay. Okay, so it's an I go, you go kind of thing.
Yeah, and then just drop wherever, and then you go.
Okay.
Same thing with BBJ. Same thing with all of those. And then with the weights, it's like, you know, they have judges with counters, and it's like, do you want to go to 25? You want to go to 20? I'll take over, whatever. So yeah, and yeah, what else?
Okay, and then I think I think when you talk about high rocks, there are certain stations that are more desirable than others, right? DECA, the assault bike. People always talk about the assault bike, you know. So there's always in these races things that people talk about more than others as far as the more challenging stations. Right. I'm just wondering, what stations did you like and what stations are kind of a nightmare in Deadly Desert?
I don't think burpee broad jumps are a pleasant experience for anybody, but for some reason there are people who do like them. But to me, in terms of entire body taxation without representation, that's my least favorite. And then the end,
are you in grass doing it?
Yes.
Okay.
And so if you go in the morning, you might get a little wet, might get a little dew. I didn't have that experience. I went in the middle of the day, it was hot. And then the end, much like the DECA burpees, you're doing, what does he call them? Devil press,
yes.
So down for the burpee, down, all the way down, back up, and then over your head. Right. So that sucks.
Right. But it's relatively light though. Like I'm looking for a female, it's 12-pound.
No, dude. Every single big complaint, every single woman I asked, whether they were fucking beastesses or the average woman, I said, how was it? And they were like, the weights were too light. So he's saying, again, I think kind of like DECA, I want this to be for everybody. So these people are all gym goers. And I'm like, it's not like one or two. They all said it. So anyway, we'll see if that tweaks, or if in the gym events they want to weight them. But yeah, the women all said the weights were too light. The men, it's not. The men, these are 25
pounds. Yeah, I can see where that would be a little more demanding.
No, it's more than 25 pounds. It's 25
so the
kilos.
The press is 25. The clean and press is 35, which is something.
Are you looking at kilograms or pounds?
I'm looking at pounds. I'm on the Deadly Desert website.
It doesn't even list pounds, does it?
It does. It says for the clean and press, you have a 15 kg / 35 pound.
Okay. Okay. What's the I also hated the front carry.
Oh, really?
I was like, yeah, the front carry just it's like the old bucket carry, right? Your back is just screaming at you.
Just a little awkward too, having that plate on for the front of you.
Super awkward, not fun. And I think that one's down and back 3 times.
Well, and 240 meters, that's going to be a thing. Yeah.
Well, and that's the other thing that kind of makes it easy is the down and back. So you're either going to like switch at the back or switch at the half, right? You can do that. So, and I like there's signs in front of everything. There's a judge there as well, but I always forget to even look. I just ask the judge, how many times are we going? And they go down and back 3 times. And so you do that. It's much like High Rocks doubles. It's quite enjoyable to do doubles. I don't know that I want to do a singles. I mean, it's 60 reps. So 60 reps to me sucks by yourself.
That's long. That's just a grind, right? And maybe that's why the weights are a little lighter, just because you're just
right. But again, if all the women said it was too light, but what other questions do you have?
Here's the problem. The devil's press is only 20 reps. And 12 pounds is nothing, I think, for most. It's just
so that's the one kind of beauty. Like, okay, we're at the end, but it's only 20. Everything else is and you'll hear him talk about this at length on my interview, the Dewey Decimal, not Dewey Decimal. What do you call it when everything's divided by 12? Things by 12 are divided by 3, 4, and 6, and 12. You can divide that. Somebody, is Brendan on here? I bet Brendan knows.
Somebody knows that term.
So he loves that. He says that way you can break up the training. It's like dozen is like some universal magic number.
Okay, I see.
Because it's divisible by so many things.
Right.
So except for that last one, which I think he just kind of wants to give you a break, and then quick sprint across the finish, and then you get a nice patch. Hang on, you get a nice little cool Mori medal. I didn't bring the medal. I had a complaint about the patch actually. So here's my patch. No, not factors. When it's Google, Brendan, Google when things are all 12.
Yeah.
It's not factors. So there's the patch, and it says Deadly Run 25, which I kind of hate. I think it should say Deadly Dozen, but he's trying to distinguish that from the other.
Like
yeah, but I don't like that. I think it should just say Deadly Dozen, and that's the event. And then other things are strong, mile, erg, yada, yada. Brendan, look up duo. Don't make me ask ChatGPT because I'll do it. He says it like 10 times when I was talking to him. But yeah, so it's indoors. I'm sorry, it's outdoors. So yeah, if you have a bad weather day, that kind of sucks.
Well, that was my other question, because I will say that is a factor for me.
There we go. There we go. Duo decimal. There we go. Duo decimal.
Learn something new every day.
So
yeah, the outdoor thing kind of has me concerned.
Well, they do it in England, and England, it rains all the time, and they put on, events, and they can only put it on so many months a year. Whereas here in Atlanta, you could do them almost year round and still have a good time. I mean, I don't know, you'd want to do it in Vegas in the middle of the summer, but
not in the middle of the summer, but most of the year it would be fine.
Right. And again, you can do all the gym events leading up to it, which again, I just think I reached out, based on my excitement about the event, I reached out to a bunch of the kind of early adopter gyms and was like, hey, are you guys doing this? Some of them had already talked to him. Some of them haven't, but I reached out to Bethany and Amber and Trio Fitness and a bunch of people today. But speaking of which, can I do a couple of shout outs before I forget? Because I have some shout outs to do.
Okay.
Okay, you ready for this one? I think you'll appreciate this. Pinnacle Fitness I reached out to. Sorry. I am very popular on Instagram. You ready for this?
Yes.
The Puma Faster Challenge at Hyrox Paris Grand Palais. If you run a solo sub 70 or a doubles sub 65, you get a cool medal if you run them in Puma shoes. So this is put on by Puma France. They specifically
have to run it in France.
You have to run this race in Pumas in France, and you get a cool medal. So I just think that's kind of a cool thing.
Matt, that's a goal for us. We could try to get that cool medal.
Solo, men, women, open or pro.
Okay.
Are you a sub 70?
No.
Okay. Are you a sub 65 in doubles?
No, but we could be.
Not with me, but with somebody else.
I could, if I did a doubles open, I could be sub 65.
What were you? Were you 72?
I was 70. I was 70. Yeah.
No, what was you and I though?
Oh, we were an hour 28. So what's that? That's like
108.
88.
Anyway, I just think it's kind of cool. So I told that guy, give him a shout out. So yeah, everybody in France, show up with your Pumas, show up with a decent time, you get a cool medal.
I like the medals. And I think, when we get talking about these North American championships and stuff going forward, I have definite opinions about stuff like that.
Oh, we're going to get there. We are definitely going to get there.
I know. That's important. Yeah.
But I want to give what was my other shout out?
I don't know.
Just one more quick mention. I will be at the I have so many messages and I have like 12 things. So, what the heck were we just talking about?
Shout outs.
Shout outs. I will be. All right, forget it. We'll talk later.
Right. I do have a question. Like, so I know that Lauren and Mark are people for Deadly Dozen, and then we've got this fellow down in Texas who you were just with.
Yes, Brandon.
Who isn't named Bonnie, right?
Bold Fitness, Brandon, and I just said it.
I know, not Bonnie, right?
Brandon and Brittany Bonine.
Okay.
From Bold, Texas.
Are there any others? Like, do we have a SoCal rep yet? Do we have?
So there's a guy in Maine who's supposed to be doing some New England events, and I met him, and he's a great guy, but I don't think he knows any gyms. So I think they're going to be what's called regional managers. So if you're listening to this and you're interested in, like, the regional managers put on the track events.
So somebody could be an assistant to the regional manager.
Exactly. But anybody can be an affiliate within, so yeah, I think he's got so many miles, right? But I don't even think you have to worry about that yet because there's just not enough. But
and is there an affiliate fee like there is with High Rocks and DECA? Do we know?
I forget. Okay. And I think the split's better than DECA, than the DECA split.
Gotcha. Okay. I'm just thinking it really is so simple to put these on. Like, they really could just reach out. I'd love to put one on in Vegas. I was talking to Mark and Lauren about maybe doing one after the Vegas High Rocks this year, but it just kind of didn't go anywhere. I think, it was a little early. And
who's your gym in Vegas?
Well, I mean, there's Camp Rhino, which that's where, Lauren and Anthony go, and they would be perfect for it. But this is a simple enough setup. Like, come out to Lake Las Vegas Sports Club, where all the fancy old people hang out. And we'd probably be able to put something on. So yeah, it wouldn't be hard.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know, maybe next winter, just start getting to where regionally we could put things on depending on where the weather was good.
Yeah. And like I said, I think it's going to be kind of a slow build, and then it'll kind of catch fire.
They're going to need to come up with, they're going to need to fix the patches, right? It's going to need to be cool patches. There's going to need to be stuff that.
Well, people might love the patches. I don't know. I just wasn't a fan of that. But the races, it's if you look at here's what I really liked about him. I was going to wait to get to all this, but damn it, we're going to get to it now. We had a long interview, and he's, I think, wisely patient. I said, do you want to give away money? And he's like, not yet. And, do you want to have a world championship? He's like, not yet. He's like, I could, but if I put one on in England, it would just be people from England. And once you put on a world champion, like, I want it to fucking mean something. He didn't say fucking. He said, I want it to mean something. And if you're going to give away prize money, like, that's where, we've got to have the right judging. Right. So, like, he knows, like, we've missed the mark there. You know what I mean? Like, he knows that's still something they're working on. So he's like, I don't want to just throw on a world championship and give away a bunch of money. Like, let's get it right first, which I think is really smart and just makes me like him more because it's the non-greedy move. You know what I mean?
Yes. And I also think.
And flags, same thing with flags too, right? I was like, why not do the whole flag? He's like, we're waiting on all of that.
Until that means something.
Yeah, because right now it's like if he goes if 300 people show up, 100 of them leave with flags. I go that helps build customer retention. He's like, I know, but I don't want to devalue. I want it to mean something. So,
well, I think about these races and what makes them kind of good and what makes them sticky. And I will say that I don't think it's prize money. I don't think people. If you're looking at the mass population, like, none of us are looking to make money off this. That'd be really cool if we did. And I'm not even sure. Sure, the flags are nice, and it is cool to sort of get podiums. And you're right, you need to be able to compete against enough people to be able to do it. But you know what I really think helps High Rocks is how cool we look in the pictures, right? Like, you get good photographers, and the kind of workouts that they have us doing Like anybody pulling a sled looks like a superhero, right? As opposed to a box step over, which none of us look good in, right? Like they
Well,
could sort of,
the photos of world champions doing box step overs in 3 years ago was what got me begging the eternal question: is Deca
it's like,
dumb? So
right.
right, like you know, you got a picture of Ryan Kent like doing that over a box, and it's like, is this a world champion? Like,
It's like an aerobics class, right? But yeah, like you think about just the key components about what we want, and we want to feel like badasses. We want to feel like we're doing amazing things, and so it actually is a fairly simple
Jamie, pull up the Deadly Dozen photos. Let's have a look at them. So that's and he does free photos, and he says that's one of the things he hears over and over and over again. Thanks for giving us free photos. And I said, yeah, at OCR, it's what helped build the sport.
Right.
And it was like, now it's hard. They've gone backwards on it because
we want to post, right? We want to show everybody
right.
Was.
But
yes.
people are gonna pay who knows how much. Like people will still pay for all those photos. But I do think, yeah, that's it's hard not to look badass. Like, let me see if I got some stuff. I think I got some pretty good photos. I think I posted them when I did my first Deadly Dozen.
Yeah.
Martin Loftus says the thumbnail for this is great. Do you know that person, Martin? Is that why? Why don't you pull it up, Cheryl?
Pull up. What am I pulling up?
Deadly Dozen photos. I'm going to share it. I got it.
Okay.
Oh my God. I've got to open preferences. I got to let the thing do it. Oh my God. I got to quit. It's going to make me quit and reopen. So talk to the people for a minute. Okay.
Well, I do. I just think, when it comes to these kind of races, I just feel like we've got to be able to look good. We've got to be able to look like we're doing something really cool. And that almost generates enough buzz and enough desire to do it that you almost don't need to throw a lot of money at it. So I don't know. Does this Deadly Dozen have, is an overhead? Yeah, just someone working hard. It does, does the overhead carry give us the kind of look we want to have, right? Does that make my shoulders look amazing? Like, the bear crawl, does that make me look great? I just think little things like that are just going to go a long way, and they're not going to have to work very hard if they've just figured out the kind of stations that help us look great.
All right. It's a Google Drive. That's not ideal. I don't want that. Do I?
Is this worth the trouble? That's what you need to ask yourself right now.
Yeah. I got to say, these aren't great so far. These aren't really great.
Now, Brendan, you're talking 6-foot wall. And I will say that I just had some people finish the Vegas Spartan here who had never done Spartans before, and they are on fire, right? And they love the rope climb photos, and they love the wall, climb over the wall photos. They think they look amazing. And so, yeah, I mean, Spartans always nailed it, right? So, yeah, I mean, these, I think.
Well, this one's good. The rest of these, they're too far away. These are not great.
Right. So like it's going to be hard to, when you've got high rocks, they can really zero in on the stations.
Well, he might for this. He might have, I don't know if this is like they were free, because like, yeah, this person doesn't necessarily know how to take good photos, I think.
Yeah, you got to get the Sportograph guys who know what they're doing,
or just someone that really, okay, these look a little bit better. These look a little bit better. Can we see this or no?
No, I can't see it yet.
Okay.
I do think that being outdoors is going to make it hard because it's such a big space, right? Like you need kind of that, you just sort of fill the space with stuff to make it look really great.
These are better. So these are much better.
Yeah, that's better.
This person knows how to frame a shot much better. Oh, now we're back
exactly. And that's what you need. You need high quality photography. Yeah, look at her. She looks great. Oh, yeah. See? You get stuff like that?
Well,
yeah.
I mean,
there you go.
I mean, this is pretty much me.
Well, yeah, it's all of us.
I mean, that's pretty much identical what I look like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're just going to need to start like really showing.
Yeah, you have the right people shooting, and you'll look like a superstar. But no, of course, that's the indoor, just black and white framing, and yeah, again, so I think but people do love it, and they share the shit out of them.
Yeah.
Let me go to my account.
So I don't think you need to throw a lot of money at stuff, but you do need to throw money at photographers. I think that's just going to help a ton to further the brand. And it does seem like the stations that they've chosen, there are opportunities like that overhead snatch. That looks amazing, right? And you don't get that, at High Rocks. Look at you go. See? That's what you need, 2 or 3 of those every race, and you're going to look great. Oh, look at you. Nice.
I guess that's a burpee broad jump.
That is a burpee.
But no, this is what we call a money shot.
I think absolutely.
I mean, it helps that I'm kind of rocking all black. You know what I mean?
Yes. But no, we all know how to do that, right? Like you pick the outfit that you want to be photographed in. And then you hope the photographers capture you doing that kind of stuff. And I think that goes a long way. I think you just need exercises that don't make you look dumb, and you need to have somebody capture that. And that's gonna help the sport more than almost anything.
Right. No, I concur.
Yeah.
All right. What's next?
I don't know. Do we want to talk about the qualification system? Are we done with Deadly Dozen?
Yeah, let's talk about the qualification system.
Okay. Go.
Break the news to the people.
Well, so we have complained for a long time. Some of us have complained for a long time that you can race an open race in High Rocks and qualify for world championships if you make the podium in an open race. And then you go to world championships and you race pro, which never made a whole lot of sense because you are qualifying in a race that then you compete in a completely different race, not completely, but quite a bit heavier and quite a bit different. And they have now changed that so that next year, if you race open, there's no chance of you qualifying unless you race in North American championships, European championships, or Asian championships, because those are open. The only open races you'll be able to qualify.
So those are essentially will become the age group world championships, or right? Or age group regional championships, right?
That's the thing that I have a question about is, and we could talk about this now because I've never really understood what North American championships is. I tend to race it because I started racing it because I was racing open when I started High Rocks 3 years ago. And I raced in North American championships. It was in Chicago that year. It was 2023. And that was really cool because it was all open and I didn't really know any different. And I ended up winning my age group, right? So yay, right? And they gave me, not only did I get a flag, but it was a special colored flag. And it said North American Championships on it. And they gave me a hat.
Look at that.
Right? It says High Rocks winner 2022, 2023. And it's this trucker hat. And I am far too old to actually wear a trucker hat, but I keep it in my closet and I love it. Like I absolutely love the.
You earned it.
I did. And I'm so proud of it. And it felt special. Like it felt like.
Did you beat Mamushka?
She's European. She was European champion that year. Of course. He was just gearing up to.
I know she's like your rival though.
No, she's just so good. And she just plastered me in Manchester that year. It was just so humiliating. So yeah, she's very, very good. So she probably got a hat, and maybe the Europeans got trucker hats too. I don't know that year because she won the European championship.
To answer the question, I think it's exactly what we were just talking about that Deadly Dozen is waiting on. It gives people a thing to shoot for. It kind of follows Olympic track and field type sports. Here's the North American Championship. Here's the World Championship. It's the thing that Spartans always tried to do, which qualifications change every fucking year and doesn't make any sense. And at the end of the day, there's not enough talent in Spartan to make a difference. But again, that's the 117th reason why High Rocks is already bigger than Spartan is. The field is already international. There's already amazing athletes in every continent.
Right.
So being the best in Europe is super cool, right? Yeah. And if it's just European athletes, which also it isn't, because like you could go there, right? Mm-hmm. But maybe it should be, and maybe it'll get there.
What I think. I'd be interested to see what.
Like, let's eventually get there that it's just Euros, and like you win Euros and then you win Worlds, right?
Or do you qualify into North American Championships, right? Like, is there an opportunity for that? Because let me say, so that was 2 years ago that I got all the cool stuff. Last year, nothing. It was
same event
in
DC this time.
In DC, it was the saddest award ceremony I've actually ever been to. Like, it was just sort of put at the end of the day for a bunch of us women. It was back in this corner. There was nobody there. It was just the saddest.
Well, it was in DC, so it was probably Joe Biden's fault.
Which, thanks, Joe Biden. Right. So, yeah. And so, like,
hang on, just saying that now, I'm probably going to get demonetized because, you know, it listens for everything. So it's like, don't even joke about politics. I'm going to get canceled.
Maybe I got a finisher medal. I can't remember if I got a finisher medal, but definitely for like winning, it was nothing. There was nothing special about making the podium there. And
it's almost kind of like they want it both ways. And again, it wasn't like they didn't want to give you anything. It's probably just like, oh yeah, we forgot we made such a big deal because now we have this Elite 15. We have a way to qualify for the Elite 15. We have these majors. So maybe it's this, they kind of want to have it both ways. Like, it lets all the age groupers say they want a championship, but we don't want to bother with all the stuff. So let's just, because people are doing that, you know, when people were saying, I'm the North American champion 16 to 24 or whatever. And it's like, I guess you are, because you showed up to that race.
Wouldn't that be nice if it did mean something?
But it's no different than if you won the Atlanta one, really. Like, but if people start to treat it that way, like, ooh, I want to go to said open country championship because I'll never make the Elite 15, and maybe they start adding prize money to that, even if it's just age group, you're still winning something, and it could matter. I don't know. Like, let's hear what you think.
I would like to see it matter.
What the audience thinks.
I'm not so certain, and that's, you know, so Brendan, so that means no open world championship then. Yeah, I think there is no open world championship. I think you go to world championships when you're pro, when you push pro weight. But I do think that a nice consolation, I just can't see them sort of putting in the pageantry that world championships has for open. And I think that it probably should feel special if you're racing pro.
Listen, like you win open. If you win an open race, great. You beat everybody that day and you won an open race. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I'm an open athlete, and I just think like award, like, everybody doesn't get a participation medal. It's okay to just like, I'm an open and I 17th out of 10,005, but who cares? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like,
yeah,
try to get your better time, try to do whatever. But I'm just so not a fan of like open, you know, like open championships. To me is like a fucking, what do you call, what's the phrase? It's a
podium
no, jumbo shrimp. What do you call that? It's an oxymoron. Open championship. You're competing against the people who aren't competitive. That's why it's called open.
I think that the people who race open are perfectly competitive. I think they race, they're fast, right? They may not have the same strength, and they may not race in that, but I still think it's pretty awesome when you beat everybody in that category.
I'm not saying it's not. I'm not saying it's not awesome. I'm saying if you want to win, you have to do
pro.
Yeah, and don't give me this. Well, it's faster, so this. It's like no, dude. Like, it's open weights for
North American championships. Like, you don't think there should be anything for open?
I think if you show up to open, okay, and you win, you look at your scorecard and you go, great, I won that day. But you don't get a flag. You don't get anything. You did it. You had a great race, and you compete against yourself every time. You try to get better, and you see how you do in your age group and open, but you don't earn anything. If you want to earn age group, it's pro age group. See what I'm saying?
So I
didn't say the athletes. Jabari is saying we do matter. I didn't say the athletes don't matter. I said you don't get anything special. If you want to be with the best, do the fucking heaviest weights. That's what that's for.
And so
just like when I show up to my 5K, I can either win regular, or I can win my age group, but I don't get another chance. Well, here's the other people who are all trying something else, like going slow. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. There's no third division that gets awards.
So there's no global leaderboard for open.
It's fine. You can have a global leaderboard. There's just no flags for it. And there's no championship for it.
And then there's no championships. It's
all
like,
right, so here's Jeff B saying, but when there are top athletes showing up to win their respective regional championships, Ronco and Vivian and Dylan this weekend, that they shouldn't do that. They shouldn't race open.
We just shouldn't even have these championships because it's just silly for them to show up.
Well, they shouldn't be allowed to. They're fucking pros. Go run the pro races.
All right. So yeah, I don't,
I'm alone on this island. I'm sorry that I'm alone on the island of like, sorry, you don't get, you still like, you can still get a medal if they give away medals or a patch, just like in Spartan, right? But
so
like
no podiums except for the race that you
Spartan doesn't have a podium for open, does it?
True. Okay.
Right. Like no race does. Like I said, you're either elite or age group, which is you didn't win elite, but you're the best in your age. We don't need to give every single person a fucking medal. No, you're celebrated. Guys, I beat everybody else today, right? But it is open. It is like a lot of those people are just getting off the couch or whatever. So we just know it's not as hard as the other things.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that this race is hard enough. If you're faster than everybody else that day, you should get a podium.
Listen, again, I celebrate your accomplishment, right? So Lucy, who is on the island with me of, there's no such thing as Irish records, right? She and I talked about that on the podcast, but she did go back and run open because it was a way of like completing a cycle for her. I did this 2 years ago and here I am doing it again. And I went really fast. So great. But like, I'm not that impressed because it's open. You see what I'm saying? And again, like I acknowledge that she did that. I don't think she needs to do that every year. Now that she's did her first circle thing, she's a pro now. She's a Red Bull athlete.
Right.
Like there are other people who should get that opportunity to be the fastest that day in Oakland that aren't a Red Bull athlete. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. I think I see your point. I can see where pro's the aspirational race. And I also know that the vast majority of people running open are just there to finish it.
Right.
So that's your point is that let's just make it something where they're just trying their best.
And again, you still get to celebrate it. You could post about it. Dude, I'm so proud of myself. I beat my last time by 5 minutes and I was third out of everybody who did open or seventh or first or whatever it is. But we don't do separate flags. It's why they're saying like, let's stop doing that. Let's stop qualifying these people for the world championship.
Yeah. Well, I definitely think they shouldn't qualify, but I don't see any problem with celebrating the open.
I don't think Ronco or Dylan should be able to race open.
No, I think that's kind of weird.
And if they do, like, because they want to whatever that day, fine. But they're kind of scratched off the leaderboard. And what was I about to say? And just like they can't race in last chance qualifiers anymore, right? Like they finally made that official decision.
Right.
Like,
yeah, there's precedent for them saying you don't get to race this.
Yeah. So, or if you want to run that day in like the third wave or something, you can. But like, we're not going to put you with the people that are fucking working their ass off to try to get to Chicago.
Yeah. It's funny because, I usually race pro, but I'm going to DC this week. Part of it is because I have two reasons, and I will be.
But you're not a Red Bull sponsored athlete in the Elite 15. You're allowed to. An age group athlete can vacillate and do what they want. I have no problem with that.
Yes.
It's a true pro that I'm saying shouldn't do open.
Correct. But I also think that the reasons why I'm doing it mean that there probably shouldn't. I think once you start racing pro, you probably, in general, shouldn't be racing open a lot. I don't know.
Except that here's the other thing. There's only X amount of races in America a year. So yeah, you want to go race. That's your only chance. I don't blame you for that either.
Right. No, it's an opportunity for me to practice.
Yeah, of course.
But I will say there is something fun about racing in a championship. And I think the only consideration I'm thinking is that there are too many people who are talking about their race times and then you find out that they raced open. Like they're acting like they raced a 65, but it turns out they raced an open 65, right? Instead of a pro 65. But they're not really, it's almost like a podium kind of situation where they're kind of selling their abilities by racing open when they really shouldn't have. And I do think that, I don't know how you distinguish that, but I see your point that removing the championships in general would.
If they want to have the open, I'm saying keep the open. I have no problem with these open championships they're doing. I don't have a problem with it. I'm saying from every single race, we don't need to do flags for open racers. That's my whole point. No. If you want to have open championships, fine. But Elite 15 athletes don't get to go run them. And if they want to run it for practice, it doesn't count. Sorry, Elite 15 athletes.
Okay, so you're saying that open people shouldn't get flags, but there can be championships.
Yes.
How do we qualify then to get into the championship? Is it
it's not big enough. It's not big enough to. So yeah, just show up to those. Just show up to the North American one, show up to the whatever one. Okay. Everybody in the pool, go do it. And you know that if you're a High Rocks pro and you're in the 20 to 30 range and so you didn't make the Elite 15, you probably still shouldn't show up for the Open Championship because you're faster than everybody already.
Yeah. Well,
it's called sandbagging.
If you're on the HFM top 20 list is what.
No open races for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're one of the best in the world,
everybody's rolling their eyes if you show up to it. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, but again, hey, Matt, I only have, I've been injured and it's the only race I could go to before Worlds. And so that's why I went and whatever. I'm sure there's a lot of good reasons. But listen, no, I'm not trying to convince you otherwise. I'm just giving you my opinion on it.
No, I think it's a valid opinion. And I think what it shows is that they may have solved one problem, but there are still plenty of others.
Right. But again, I like them setting the bar of, hey, we're giving you this on next year.
Mm-hmm.
It's not June 1st and they're announcing it, right? It's like, hey, this stuff's coming around. Mm-hmm. Hey, here's these 5 or 6 races you can do, which count for either. Like they seem to be answering our questions.
Yeah, they seem to be very, very responsive.
And so I think for all people complain a lot. I think the biggest complaint people are having that I see is the crowded courses. And again, I don't know what you want to do about that because we have a really popular sport and that's what's going to happen. I don't know what you expect them to do. I mean, they just, it's a quality problem that they're having. And people get mad about it and call it greedy. I don't think so. I just think it's just, they're a victim of their success and that's just part of it.
I haven't heard as many complaints about crowded courses the past few races in the United States.
Right. Well, we don't have what they have over there, though. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Like I go look at the
venues.
Yeah, it's pretty much all of them. They have these issues because they have 17,000 fucking people over 4 days. It's bananas.
But for the most part, if we are just qualifying people by podiums, then it doesn't matter. You can run a crowded course. Still make the podium because everybody who's run with you has been on a crowded course that day.
Unless they ran on Friday and you ran on Saturday.
Yeah, I guess there's a chance. But for the most part, I think pro women, if they start kind of like, I know when they set up the days to where they already know it's a 3-day event, then there's isn't there kind of one day that pro women run?
Sometimes. So, I think they've done it both ways.
Yeah. And I think when they add a day, it ends up being a problem.
But I'm saying as far as the company goes, I think they're handling most things right. I really do think.
Yeah, I think they're being incredibly responsive. I think that for the most part, it's going really well. Our complaints don't fall on deaf ears with High Rocks.
Dave said cap the registrations. I don't think so. I don't think they're going to cap the registrations anytime soon.
I like the fact that, look, the races that are coming out in the United States now are multiple day events. They know what they're in for. I think they're going to be able to handle it. I really thought Las Vegas was going to be a disaster. I thought 10,000 people, how are they going to manage it? And it was great. I no complaints with how all that went.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
So they're handling it.
What else do we have, Cheryl? I can't remember what we have this week. Let me check my notes. Do you want to hear about my hilarious travel woes, Cheryl?
Well, you were alluding to that, that you needed, you had a couple more stories to tell.
So the the passport thing was the night before, right? Now I'm getting on a plane and I'm going to travel back. And I almost always fly nonstop if possible.
Mm-hmm.
A, because it's the fastest, and B, I don't like changing planes.
Mm-hmm.
You worry about connections. Sometimes it's inevitable, and when you fly from the United States to say the Middle East, you're definitely going to stop in either Paris or Amsterdam. Sometimes going to the UK, you might stop in Paris on the way back. It depends. But I tried to get a less expensive flight on the way back because they were so fucking expensive. So I flew Aer Lingus, which I thought was like, couldn't be much different than Virgin Delta. It's way different. I wouldn't quite call it Spirit, but it was pretty much Southwest. Okay.
It's the best name.
Aer Lingus.
Favorite name. I can't help it.
So from Glasgow to Dublin to Atlanta was still expensive. So I went Dublin to Boston, which was way cheaper, and then a whole another flight from Boston, like a Delta, like Boston to Atlanta.
You're just flying on hope.
And my flight was, my thought was, I don't want to risk it. So even though I land at like 2 in Boston, I'm going to pick like an 8 p.m. flight because I just don't want to risk it, right? And maybe I could fly standby sooner, right? So I'm about to get on my first Aer Lingus flight from Glasgow to Dublin, and I stop in the little duty free, and I'm like, let me get my family some chocolates. And it was like one box for 27, 2 for 40, and I'm like, well, I gotta get the 2 for 40, right? I got that. I got some other chocolate for my wife, and they put it in a little bag, and I'm pretty paranoid that I will forget something on the plane. So I always put both things together, no matter what. So even if the plane happens to be like you can't put everything together, like I'll put it further back just to make it easy. Just like, okay, I'm not gonna, you know what I'm saying? Like even if it's not ideal, I'll put them together because I'm afraid I will grab something and forget it.
Yes.
So I'm in 2D for Aer Lingus. So I'm going to board first, and I'm going to put the stuff on there, and no big deal. So they start boarding the plane, and they board it COVID style from the back to the front, right? Again, not a problem, except that, when you fly these small airlines, there's no jetway. You go down the stairs and up on the plane, and then basically by the time I got to my section, it was all full. Okay. So sure enough, I put my bags on one and the chocolates in the thing next to it, and I'm like, I'm sure this is gonna be fine. Sure enough, I'm on my next flight, and I'm like, I forgot the fucking chocolates. And it's not so bad that I can't give my family the chocolates. It's like $50 down the drain. No, it's more because it was 50 pounds. So it was like $70. Crazy. Okay. Now I fly to Boston, and I'm going to go and I get my bag, and there's no problems. And now I take my bags and I'm going to go Boston to Atlanta, and I roll up to the desk, and I'm like, hey, I'm an 8 o'clock flight. Could I get on an earlier one? And she's like, oh, there's room on the one leaving next. It's leaving in 35 minutes. And I was like, cool. Like, this is amazing. I'm going to get home now. And I was like, oh no, we can't take your bag. It's too late. I'm like, okay, great. Let me try the next one. So needless to say, I didn't get on my flight till 8 o'clock. I've now been awake for over 24 hours. So my brain is not working at all. Okay. So I will never do that again because I forget, like, no matter how much money you save, it doesn't matter if your fucking brain isn't working. So I have that flight. I finally land. I get in an Uber. It's 10 o'clock at night. I've been up since 6 a.m. fucking Dublin time, right? It's definitely 24 hours. I get to my house and I pull this thing out of the trunk. And as soon as I pick it up, I feel it's light. And I'm like, oh my fucking God. I left my laptop in the seat, the front seat of the Delta plane. This, by the way, is the backup laptop because my laptop got run over the last time. I'm like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. I was so tired, that when the plane, I was working on the computer, I stuck it in the front, and then when the plane landed, I'm like, all right, well, the good news is I live here at this airport, so I'm going to come back tomorrow and fucking pray that it's there. Because I already knew I had to buy one computer. I don't want to have to buy two because, like, my family, my wife and my kids use the other one. So I go down to the airport, and the next morning, and I'm like, hey, is it here? And they're like, no, fill out this form, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, last time I filled out that form was just for a hoodie, and I never heard back from you guys. So I'm going to come back tomorrow, and I'm probably going to come back every day. So I go back the next day, and they have it. Thank God. Right. And they hand me this, right, which has my computer in it. Okay. And it feels a little thick to me. And I'm like, what is this? And I go and I feel inside here, this inside pocket, which I never use, and it's a phone. And I go, hey, this isn't mine. Whoever emptied the plane just like stuck it all in there, I guess, right? So I made somebody's day because I turned their phone back. When I got to my house, I reached in it even more. It had like a not a debit card, but a what do you call it? Fuck, what do you call it? What do you call a card that you just put money on it?
Yeah, like a gift card kind of thing.
Yeah,
right.
And I'm like, I pray there's no money on this because I do not want to go back down to the airport. But if there is, I will. There was no money on it. Okay. But anyway, so yeah, it was a trip of losing things, and I'm never doing that again. And I'm just so mad because like I almost made that first plane, and I had stopped to get coffee. I went to the bathroom. Like if I knew I just didn't think there'd be a chance of getting on that first one. Brendan, I appreciate your help. I'm usually pretty good traveler.
Well,
I'm usually pretty good. I've gotten pretty good. I make myself a lot of checklists. I'm usually pretty good. But yeah, that was a rough one. Just coming back was fucking brutal.
I do think so. I've had periods of my life where I lose a lot of stuff. Like stuff starts, you put your bag on the back of your car and then back out and drive away. Like that's
how I ran over my computer.
Right,
ran over my computer.
Yeah, like I just feel like the wheels are kind of coming off my life, and I always just feel like sometimes that's the universe kind of communicating to me. And it sounds like the message you got was money is for a reason, and you just pay a couple extra bucks, right? And everything goes better. Like it's not worth.
Well, and the thing is, I've already subscribed to that. Like I don't fly. Like I pretty much only fly Delta, even though it's considerably more expensive than Southwest, because I want my flight to get there on time, and I want to have a comfortable seat. Like, so I've already subscribed to that. But in this particular time, when I booked this ticket, I was struggling a little bit. And I was just like, I guess I'll just do it and see what happens. And yeah, it wasn't, or like I've learned that the closer hotel is so much worth the $50 or $100 than having to drive an extra 30 minutes, especially with High Rocks where I go back and forth 10 times. I still don't, I don't think I can afford the, what do you call it? I don't think I can afford the Sable, but I'll be a mile away and not 20 miles away. Even though 20 miles away would save me hundreds of dollars, there's just no way I'm going to do that to myself. So
you can stash your stuff in our room in the Sable because I put the money down.
Oh yeah, I know. Cheryl's definitely going Sable.
Here's what happened.
I will take you up on that, by the way.
Yeah.
Here's the real question. Here's the real question. While you're out and about, could I sneak a nap in? That's the bigger question.
I think just as long as you clean up after yourself, I don't care what you do.
I'll stay above the sheets. I won't even go under.
There you go. So we'll talk. But so here's what happened. My husband got an email because we go to these races, adventure buddies. He got an email 2 days ago saying you still haven't chosen your seats for your United flight to DC.
Right.
And he has no idea how that happened. Once again, wheels coming off our life, right?
Right. Happens.
And so we get online, scramble to see what seats are open, and there aren't a lot. And guess what we're doing coming home from Washington, D.C.?
What are you doing?
Threw a bunch of money at first class. And
Fuck it.
what are we going to do, right? Yeah.
Right.
So there you go.
All right. Kyle V says, when I think of Open championships, I think of the U.S. Open and British Open in golf/tennis. Anyone can qualify. I'm good for regional Open championships, but have to qualify, not just sign up for it like any other race.
I like that too, because I think it would feel special. I think make it so you qualify, so you feel like it's an honor to be there, and give me something cool, right? Give me a little, any trinket, any little something that's going to make me feel proud if I actually pull off a win or a podium position, a patch, anything. I think those two components, and you've got people clamoring for that race.
Yeah. Back to the other thing. If I would get hurt, like before I was an athlete, because I'm an athlete now, just like out and about in the world, like you get hurt and something happens, it's like, that is the universe. Like, okay, you need to slow down. Like, that's usually what that meant, I thought. Now when I get hurt, it's not necessarily that. It's like, it's, more just, whatever, stretch more.
It's just being old. Yeah.
Like before this race, it was like an hour before, and I was like, I'm gonna start stretching, and this girl was like, it's an hour before. I'm like, yeah. I am 52 years old. Welcome to, this is what my life is now.
Start greasing the wheels. Yeah.
Right. But yeah, so that trip, I mean, the funny thing is though, the fact that I felt it and I instantly knew when I pulled it out of the trunk of the Uber, why didn't I feel it light when I pulled it off the plane is the question. I don't know. Cause like I said, I knew it right away. Like it's heavier, right? You know what I mean?
Right. Your brain wasn't working. That's the problem.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah. So I'm like about to book a flight. I just, it's so worth it.
Yeah. Throw money at the problem. Yeah. Just get it done.
Right.
Yeah. So Jabari, I co-signed for qualifying for regional championships. Maybe like you're saying, there aren't a lot of races in North America. Maybe give it to the top 5, like maybe give opportunities, you know what I mean? Like world champs, it's usually like top 1 or 2 in your age group, but open, you could give it to the, give the top 5 the opportunity to qualify for North American championships. And I think it would give enough people, I don't know, something.
Sure. I'm not actually, like I said, I'm not asking people to agree with me. I'm just telling you this is how I feel.
I know. But I think it's cool. I will say the other reason why I'm going to this is that my hope is that I become North American champion because.
But again, you're allowed to do that.
Yeah. Right. And it just, it's just fun to feel like, you're a champion. Right.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
Give people opportunities to do that. I think it's wonderful.
I concur.
Good. Are we going to talk about the rankings at all?
Oh my goodness, I forgot about that. So first of all, welcome Bernice, our first Australian and our first woman on the panel. So welcome Bernice. We do a lot of me and Ian and Bernice do a lot of collabing together because she's down there in Australia. I'm not reading any more comments about, I know you keep looking at them, Cheryl, but I'm not reading them anymore. We're moving on. They're
all very good. Kyle and Jabari are right on. I think put them on the committee to fix the open situation.
Sure. So
Bernice is that JK's sister?
It is JK's sister.
Okay.
And they started Hybrid Sport Media, and I don't know what took me so long to ask her. I should have asked her sooner. Because like I said, we've been talking. And I wanted to pull them up.
I saw the women's rankings. I thought it was interesting. I'm not good at this. Like some people are really good at this kind of stuff, this ranking stuff. And I'm not.
So Lauren and Joanna, number 1 and 2. No surprise, right?
Right.
And then Vivian jumps all the way up from number 9, which means that pretty much everybody voted for her number 3, right?
Yeah.
Pretty much. Then Linda, Kate, Lucy, all about the same. Megan all the way to 7, and people lose their minds. All right, like how can Megan be this low? It's like, well, she just hasn't raced in a while.
Yeah.
Dave, you made it just in time to talk about the hybrid rankings, buddy.
Oh, we need you, Dave, because I don't know anything about this. So
hold on. First off, High Rocks Open and Spartan Open are completely different things.
Yes, it's a terminology thing.
Exactly. This gets Matt all the time. Is this terminology of open screws with his head? In a High Rocks Open, the athletes are expected to hit the same standards as the pro wave, which means
Dave,
so they
can I just imagine you like stop? Can I just imagine you pulling in your driveway like I gotta fucking straighten Matt out. Let me plug in and go put it in the headphones.
Absolutely.
Let me tell you, Dave, I know exactly what you're talking about because I really felt like we could have had that whole semantics discussion. I wasn't up for it, so I'm glad you are.
Sometimes it's not worth beating that dead horse. But anyway, right. I'm in the mood to beat dead horses. So yeah, it totally is completely different. They deserve their podium. They deserve that. A Spartan Open is different because it's run your own race. Who cares what you do? So you can't possibly have standard.
Hang on. Something just happened. Hang on. Hold on.
What happens, Dave? You start telling him this, and all of a sudden he messes up and he can't hear you.
So that's the difference. What else did I hear? Oh my God, what else? Deadly Dozen can't have championships until they have good judging. That's true. That's fact. Yeah.
But don't you?
He's right.
This sounds horrible. Hang on. I got to do the Vocaster thing again. I'm gonna have to leave and come back. You guys discuss something while I come back. Okay.
What else did you guys talk about? What else do I need to fix, Cheryl?
We talked about Deadly Dozen. We talked about how Matt lost too many things because he was too cheap, and he has learned his lesson to not do that. But I agree with you. I don't know how when we talk to somebody like Matt, because I think there's a lot of people who are just really hung up on this terminology in High Rocks, pro and open, that they think pro somehow means that you are a pro athlete and that open means that it's open, that there's no standards, but that's not the case, right? Heavy and light, I don't know if we just sort of designated it that way.
Yeah, the names were a poor choice, but it's really tough to do. So I'm not really going to come down on High Rocks for doing that. Like
no. But I think just to sort of reset some people's heads.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, the open race is a legitimate race where people they deserve recognition when they win it.
Yeah, and then when it comes to pros running open, it's a really gray area because first off, then you have to define what is a pro. Right? Or who are you cutting that off at? Like
you're not a pro just because you run a pro race.
Exactly. Like you might have just tried it and went, crap, I can't. That's not for me. I'm going to run open because it's too heavy. And even if it doesn't matter. It's so that's where that sketchy thing is. Who is a pro? Who's not? Should Ronkovich and JK and Lauren be able to run open waves? It's debatable. Whatever. But right now they can. And until they can't, it's acceptable. I kind of find it like, but at the same time, that's their choice.
Okay, here's a question for you. Mm-hmm. What if anybody anywhere can run an open wave in any general race, but if it's European Championships, North American Championships, there is a qualification system where you would have to, so Ronk couldn't just come in on European Championships and run that open race, right? Because he wouldn't have qualified.
Do you remember way back when last week when they allowed open people to qualify for World Championship?
Right.
And race pro weights, right?
Right.
Now we let those same open people qualify for the Open Championship and race open weights.
Mm-hmm.
Ta-da!
Go figure, right?
It'll be another 2 years before they implement.
Yeah. Let me clarify my question to you, Dave.
Okay. You can't clarify it if you haven't asked it yet.
by everyone's logic, all the people who are against what I'm saying, you are saying that we need in High Rocks elite podiums, pro podiums, and open podiums.
Totally fine with that. Absolutely.
Okay, so that's my problem.
Why?
Where do we stop?
Well, you just listed it off. You're good there, right there.
That's like having a 5K podium, a 10K podium.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know. I don't see the problem. I don't see the problem between pro and open. And then if you
no, to me it's more like a 10K podium and a 10K with weighted shoes podium.
Okay. The difference being, and I'd be okay with it. Okay, a 10K podium and a 10K ruck podium. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, it's a different race.
Exactly. And so is the open and the pro. It's the exact same scenario, almost identical, actually.
That's what we're saying, is it's a different race.
Yeah.
Fine, you get a podium, you don't get flags.
I think they still get.
What did we just learn about cheaping out, Matt?
That's right. Oh, throw money at the problem. Everything gets better.
Let them have their flags. Where's my flag? My flag's downstairs. All right.
That's right.
Listen, I've got flags. I love my flags. I'm happy to get my flags.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have to do, but do we have to do we need 3 categories though? Do we really need 3 categories of competition?
I don't think that's a bad thing.
Yeah. If you race 3 categories, you need 3 categories of podiums. Absolutely.
Okay. Why not zone categories though? People are like, I'm the fastest burpee broad jumper ever. Why not give podiums for those?
Because that's not the race.
It's part of the race.
Yeah, so is 1K of a 5K, and you don't give people the podium for the second K of your 5K.
All right, fine.
Same deal.
What else did I get wrong, Dave? What else did I get wrong?
I don't know. I did say you had a point about the pros not racing in open, and that's debatable. However, the point you need to, if you want to bring home this point, Matt, you need to establish what a pro is and who is not eligible.
Okay.
Because I know you have this idea in your mind of if you're too good, you shouldn't drop down, but you need to classify what too good is.
So I think High Rocks should say, if you have run the Elite 15 this year, any of them, because you might not qualify for all of them, you're out. And then the rest of the 16 through 40 should know that they're too good to run open and take it upon themselves to not run it. But I think High Rocks should draw the line at the Elite 15. What do you think about that?
It wouldn't bother me if they did that.
Because they race elite. If you race on a grid.
Oh my God, Rye just agreed with me. No way.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry, Cheryl.
No, I think if you race on a grid, then you're racing a different race. Right. And so you don't, like.
Yep. And if you want to say, if you've raced this calendar year in the Elite 15, you're not eligible to race open. I'm fine with that. I don't mind.
Or if you've kind of like retired, right? Like Tom Hogan was like, hey, early on, I was always at the top. Now I've dropped down. And like, that's fine. But come on. Let's give
and
these people.
that would where you'd have to put a time limit on it, right? Like if it's this calendar year, if it's the past 24 months, whatever you want to say, something. But you just have to have a definitive line and a definitive statement so that people know who would be eligible and who would not be eligible. Yeah. By the way, I didn't know they weren't allowing some of the people already qualified to run in the last chance qualifier. And I that was something I pushed for last year. I'm really glad they did it.
Yeah.
I thought last year it came up, right? Didn't it come up in Anaheim?
Yeah, so people ran in, like, I think Hunter ran in it. I think Kent ran in it. I think Vivian Tafuto ran in it.
Yeah, they were just kind of fine tuning.
But they had them run in the back of the pack, though, right? Didn't they?
They ran in later waves. They ran in later waves, and actually ended up winning the races.
Right.
But and I said at that time I didn't take anything away from them because they were doing what they were allowed to do. To my mind, it takes away from the race a little bit. Right. It all of a sudden, if you've got like, okay, well, they qualified, they won the last chance qualifier, but they didn't really win. And I knew that they wanted to make a spectacle of it. And I thought that took away from the race having them there.
So look, every time there is a concern or a complaint, it really does seem like High Rocks eventually addresses it. And I would not be surprised if there is some sort of announcement about Open Championship qualifications upcoming. I think we're assuming that they're keeping it the same way, and we have no evidence that that's the case. There's a chance they could announce something in the coming weeks.
For next year, you mean?
Right.
And as far as this change goes, I mean, my one comment is like, this is about time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just about time. This was something that should have been day one. Yeah, but I'm glad they did it.
The first couple of years, they needed a Philly World Championship. I get it. Now,
got plenty of people now.
plenty of people.
For sure.
I
think it'll be interesting. You get into my age group, though, I think that's going to be a pretty small heat. There's not a lot of us doing this
in the pro.
Yeah. So I think
well,
that's,
you know what, but
cool.
that in itself is the accomplishment, right? That means that and so if there's not a lot of people there, that just means how much more of a unicorn you are for doing it.
Exactly. No, I'm perfectly happy with that, but it'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see how the start waves contract.
Mm-hmm. So
what else, Dave?
Big things that were on my mind.
Okay. Now, just talk about the rankings, and I'm just going to listen because I don't know anything.
Well, you have opinions, though.
If I have an opinion, I'll tell you.
It's a subjective list.
All right, where do you want to go?
I was just kind of going through the top 20 men and women.
Okay.
Hang on.
I have no idea what you've done yet.
I just started talking about the sorry.
We had sort of landed on the fact that Meg Jacoby has, gone to number 7.
Right.
I did not put Meg on my list, not because I don't think that Meg is obviously one of the best racers out there, but because she has not raced in quite some time.
She is one race away from
being number 1 or 2. Yeah.
That's probably what's going to happen, right?
Yeah, highly possible.
Correct. So the same thing goes for Hunter, right? Like Hunter's 8th, but also could jump right up, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, if
he has raced recently. Yeah, he has raced recently.
Yeah. I mean, it's his recency bias for his performances, and that's what the poll is as of right now. And as of right now, he is probably fairly reasonably ranked.
I actually made a whole article because I also wanted to talk about who got votes.
Oh yeah. Are you going to talk about the elephant in the room?
What is it?
Oh, Tia?
Yeah.
So Tia got 2 votes and made it to number 19. I was not one of those votes.
Neither was I.
I'll wait till she does the singles.
Yeah, I believe she has to do a singles at this point. I believe what she did was great, was fantastic. But I also believe when you break it down, what she did was she won a race and set a record running with one of the best people on the planet. And is that easy to do? No. But was she the strong member of that team? No. She was insulated. Like if you watch, I think it was for almost every zone, Joanna started the zone and finished the zone so Tia could focus on the run and things like that. So I still think she's amazing. I still think she can be great, but I still register the exact same thing I've done before is I think Tia's cap is about a 62-30, somewhere in that range as a solo racer. And I could be proven wrong. But right now, that's where I think she would be, which would put her on the edge of the Elite 15 if she did it. But she has not done it.
And I think we're going to see her do it next season.
Possibly.
I think she's going to win world. She's going to win. She's going to be the fittest on earth again. And then she's going to start doing high rocks and other stuff.
So, and my question too to people who think she should be on there too was, and they say, well, if she raced solo now, she could do that. I personally believe that if Tia believed she could qualify for Worlds in the solo, she would have already tried. Because, I mean, obviously she wants her name out there. She wants to be involved in high rock. She's got the programming with Proven, all that stuff going on. If she felt confident that she could hang with, like, let's say the top 5 women or run sub 60, she would have already done it.
Right.
I think she's building up to that for hopefully to make an attempt next year. And maybe she pulls it off next year. Maybe she does. I could be wrong. I'm just saying by the numbers that I see right now, I peg her at about a 62-30 as a peak. So that doesn't put her on my top 20 considering, and I don't take into consideration CrossFit because my definition of a hybrid race is excluded. High rocks is not a hybrid race. Parts of it are, but not all of it. Yes, parts of CrossFit thing are
don't be doing that. Yeah.
Then we're voting on nothing.
Right.
I honestly think we should save. I think we should save rankings for next week. We're at 90 minutes, approximately. Even though Dave just got with us,
shut the door on the things I needed to shut the door on. I'm okay.
Thank God.
You came in right at the right time, Dave. You just put a nail in the coffin. It was perfect.
I saw you struggling, Cheryl. It was hard. You were so polite. You're so nice.
I don't know how else to do this.